Thank you all for joining us this morning. I'm pleased to be here with the Secretary of State for California, Alex Padilla. I am Javier Becerra, the Attorney General for our great state. We're here to convey a very simple message. If you're not counted, then you don't count. And in California, everyone should count. Today we're here to say exactly that we don't take anyone in our state for granted, because they all work hard, they all make life better, and without each and every person who lives in our state, we would lose out on the things that we consider precious to our family and to our lives. Because by being counted, you count in making sure that California gets its fair share. Late last night, in fact, in the dead of night, before the clock ran out, we heard that the Trump administration made another reckless decision that threatens not just immigrant families in our state, but all of us in the state of California. In filing a lawsuit today against the federal government and Secretary Ross at the Department of Commerce, we are simply trying to convey a very simple message. We want everyone to count. And so within hours of the Trump administration making a very reckless decision to include in the census questionnaire a question on citizenship, we acted before the day had ended to file our lawsuit against the Trump administration. This is something we do because everyone in California, as I said, counts. Every person who uses our highways or our mass transit system counts. Everyone who relies on our government, federal, state, and local, to be there when a natural disaster strikes counts. Everyone who needs to have the emergency responder there during a public health crisis counts. Every one of us who has a child getting ready to go to school, start kindergarten, and wanting to know the size of the classrooms that will confront the child and whether it will be possible to learn, counts. Every person who wants a voice in our government counts. The Constitution requires the federal government to count everyone in our country, everyone. The Constitution requires that the federal government conduct an actual enumeration, those are the words of the Constitution, of the total population of this country, regardless of citizenship status. And since 1790, the census has counted citizens and non-citizens alike. As I said, late last night, when the clock was about to expire, it seems that the Trump administration made a decision and announced it would add this question about citizenship to the 2020 census. Given the way that this administration has attacked immigrants, you can understand why immigrant families would be afraid to fill out the census questionnaire. Right here where we are speaking at the California Museum, you can see a whole exhibit on why immigrant families would hesitate to return the census questionnaire form. During World War II, the federal government used census data to identify Japanese American families to send them to internment. But the Trump administration has yet again failed to learn from history. They failed to consider the consequences of scaring people into not filling out the census forms. An undercount resulting from this decision would jeopardize vital services for all Californians. It would also jeopardize our representation in government. Adding a question on citizenship threatens to derail the integrity of the entire process. This latest move by the Trump administration to threaten California is not just a bad idea, it's against the law. So that's why, within hours of the Trump administration making a decision to add a citizenship question to the census questionnaire, my team at the California Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration. In our lawsuit, we argue that this decision by the Trump administration violates the Constitution and federal law. First, the Constitution requires, as I said before, the actual enumeration of all people in every state every 10 years. By including a citizenship question, which will diminish response rates, the census will not be able to fulfill its constitutional duty to count everyone. Second, the Trump administration has violated the Administrative Procedure Act, the APA, which prohibits arbitrary and capricious agency actions. We look forward to making our case in court against the Trump administration and making sure that all Californians are counted and that we maintain their voice in government. This is not our first trip to the rodeo. We've done this before, and I believe that Sir Isaac Newton, had it right some time ago when he said, "For every action, there is a reaction." Clearly, when the Trump administration decided to take action late last night, California reacted. But I will tell you that I think in this case what we're finding is that the Trump administration seems to be constantly reacting against a state, California, that has decided to be the leader in our country when it comes to pioneering better ways, new ways to do things, to the point that we have become the 6th largest economy in the world. We're not going to stop, and we're going to defend every one of our rights to make sure that every one of our people who's worked hard to make California the 6th largest economy in the state is counted. With that, let me turn it over now to our Secretary of State, Alex Padilla.
Thank you to our Attorney General Becerra for your bold action and swift action last night. You know, the Trump administration's decision last night rolls back the clock on civil rights and voting rights in America. And sadly, it's just their latest effort to sabotage the already underfunded and understaffed and leaderless census. Questioning the citizenship status of every person in America is unfortunately just a continuation of the president's blatant agenda to fan the flames of anti-immigrant hostility in our nation. Recall that at the outset of his campaign for President of the United States, he demonized Mexican immigrants, calling them rapists, drug dealers, and murderers. He's offended and insulted immigrants from Central American and African countries, referring to their native countries in words that are beyond derogatory. He's discriminated against immigrants and refugees from predominantly Muslim countries with his unconstitutional travel bans. And he's cold-heartedly torn families apart with his deportation orders, which are harsh and inhumane. And now, in one fell swoop, the Department of Commerce has ignored its own protocols, its own years of preparation, and decades upon decades of common sense bipartisan policy in a concerted effort to suppress a fair and accurate census count from our diverse communities. That this administration would claim that adding the question is simply them seeking to enforce the Voting Rights Act is not just laughable, it's contemptible. We need only look at the administration's deplorable record as it pertains to voting rights. Trump's Department of Justice has completely reversed positions on numerous key voting rights cases. Trump established an advisory commission, a fraud commission, premised on a baseless accusations of massive voter fraud in America. The commission was such a farce, he was forced to disband it earlier this year. And we know Trump has appointed to a number of key positions individuals who have championed voter suppression policies their entire careers. Trump has even failed to acknowledge Russian interference with the 2016 elections, let alone do something to hold the Russian government accountable. Enough is enough. As the Attorney General said, California values our diverse population, which includes immigrant communities throughout the state of California. We know that immigrants contribute to our economy. We know that immigrants serve admirably in our military. Immigrants are embedded in the very fabric of this state. California counts on immigrants. And in the 2020 census, we will make sure immigrants are counted, not intimidated. Since day one of this administration, Californians have been unafraid and unabashed to fight for our rights and to defend our values. We fought his travel bans, we fought his fraud commission, and I'm proud to work with Attorney General Becerra to fight this decision in the courts. We're ready to fight, and we're ready to win. And if I may, a few words in Spanish as well before we take questions. Agregando una pregunta sobre ciudadanía, en el censo solo sirve para provocar el sentimiento anti-inmigrante en este país. Como candidato, igual como presidente, Trump seguido ha insultado y ofendido inmigrantes de México, Centroamérica, África y otros países. Y sus órdenes de deportar han dividido a miles de familias. Ahora el Departamento de Comercio elige ignorar sus mismas pólizas de más de 50 años con su esfuerzo de silenciar nuestras comunidades diversas en el próximo censo. La justificación de la administración de querer proteger el derecho a votar es claramente solo un pretexto. Y ya basta. California valora nuestras comunidades diversas, su población diversa, incluyendo la comunidad inmigrante en este estado. En el censo del 2020, vamos a asegurar que los inmigrantes cuentan en el censo. Estoy orgulloso de trabajar junto con el fiscal general Javier Becerra para defender nuestros derechos y nuestros valores. Lo hemos hecho antes y lo vamos a seguir haciendo. Estamos listos para luchar y listos para ganar. Gracias.
We'll take questions.
Can you also do your statement, just a short statement in Spanish about the suit? Since we're on Spanish right now.
Sure. Hoy anunciamos que estamos entregando una demanda contra la administración del presidente Trump porque otra vez vemos ataques contra nuestra comunidad inmigrante. Es importante que sepa cada familia migrante que es importante que participen en el censo que viene en el año 2020, porque si no es contado esa familia, perdemos todos, no solo la familia, en los recursos que deben de venir aquí en California, en el apoyo y la representación que merece la comunidad en el Congreso y en la legislatura. Y tenemos que mandar el mensaje bien claro que aunque la administración del presidente Trump ataca a las familias migrantes, nosotros estamos aquí parados junto con el secretario de Estado Alex Padilla de California y yo y muchos más de California listos para luchar, para defender cualquier familia migrante porque ellos deben ser contados. Y por eso anoche Después de unas horas de que escuchamos que la administración de Trump decidió incluir en el censo una pregunta sobre ciudadanía, nosotros aquí en California entregamos la demanda que trata de poner amparo a esa clase de acción que pone en peligro la participación de nuestra comunidad migrante. Vamos a defender los derechos de las familias migrantes porque queremos defender los derechos del pueblo de California. Gracias. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.